like the pretty signs. Thank you, KP. Hey, everybody. It's that time of the day or week. It must be Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. Because you're in touch with the Miller Boys on Tuesday evenings. It's that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour where we talk to you about all things impacting the African American community of the city of Fresno, the larger surrounding area.
Sit down.
As always, I'm
Put your
joined by
seatbelt
my
on.
lovely singing brother tonight. I'm not sure who you impersonate. Fly Like an Eagle is the Eagles, right? No.
The Eagles, brother.
Okay. All right.
That's Kevin Lyles.
Is he on there?
No, I don't know who on here.
He
man.
should be. He's always on there.
Come on,
What's
man.
up, Lily? I told my cousin Lily I was going to give her a shout out. Kevin Lyles. Who else we missed last week?
I don't know.
I couldn't get any. I'm sorry. I'm not getting people's comments, so I don't get them until after we get done. So I can't respond to everybody until then. But
Guess what today is?
don't know.
Malcolm X's birthday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ah, you don't know
I didn't
everything.
know that. I did
Don't
not know that.
everything.
How old would he have been? 90-something?
He would have been 95, I believe. Hang with
Yeah.
me and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That dude, I mean, but Malcolm X, as I tell people all the time, he was part of my miseducation. Until I got into college, Malcolm X was public enemy number one for the African American community.
Okay, when you say miseducation,
Mm-hmm.
he was part of your miseducation?
Correct.
Okay.
Mine as well as everybody else I know that was around me. Because I did not learn about.
No. Well.
When did you learn about his attributes
Well,
and his
See, the thing is,
substantial contributions?
you have to understand that it's not miseducation for the people who were educating you. That was the proper education that they wanted you to have, so that you would be a fearful person, and that you would put him and his understandings and his teachings.
What about the
in
other
back.
35 people that was in the class with me?
They all got educated correctly by the system of racism, white supremacy.
Oh no, that's not correct.
Oh, that is correct. Because
that ain't the
when
correct
you-
education. That's a
'cause-
miseducation.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now that you see that, but before when they educated you, the people who were educating you were educating you correctly to their standards. See that's how this works. It's okay. We'll catch up. We'll catch up.
No, because if you base what you're doing, if you say what you're doing is right and it's based on wrong, it's still wrong.
No, it's only wrong when it's pointed out.
I got you.
So we have to
no, that's not true. That's not true. It's wrong. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
We have to.
You may not know it's wrong, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. How can wrong be right? Depends on context.
How
If
can
it's
how can one be an absolute and then the other one you could take okay, so is it wrong from the standpoint of the white person who is teaching you?
Yeah, because they knew it was wrong. They knew it was wrong.
No, they don't.
Okay, I disagree.
Always.
They didn't get taught that in school.
Get taught what? That he was mean and evil and public enemy number one, and oh yeah, they did.
That dude, Malcolm X. I shouldn't call him a dude. I get in trouble for that all the time. I refer to people out of loving and respect as dude. I called the Pope dude one time and almost got my head cut off.
That's
it's out of love.
See, once
But
again,
Malcolm X.
That's the miseducation of the person that you're talking to. You
Malcolm
mean no
X.
more, no
It was.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Malcolm X.
Happy birthday, Mr. X.
Happy birthday, Malcolm X, and thank
Tip
you
the
for
hat.
all that you've done for people, not just African American
That's
people
right.
and people of New York, but what you've done for people as far as being a living example of when they get the covers pulled back off their head, the learning that can happen, the epiphany that can happen, the understanding that can happen, because his whole life is. Anyway, I didn't mean to talk about that. But anyway, happy birthday, Malcolm X. Long live your legacy.
Happy birthday, Gerald, too. Gerald,
What you do, look up birthdays today?
well, hey, every day is a happy day for
Gerald
Gerald
who,
Miller.
Levert or something? Or Gerald who?
He gonna kill me.
Gerald Green?
No,
Gerald.
keep it rolling. It'll pop in my head.
I don't know too many Geralds. I don't know. Anyway, you have to you think about it later on. You got you're over 50 now, so you got them absent in short-term memory loss like I do. Anyway, okay, so I know you're gonna get mad about this, but anyway, Go do your census.
9 questions. I ain't mad.
If you have not done your census yet, KP,
you spend 15
go
minutes
to
talking about this, then we have some problems.
.org. Look at the bottom of the screen right there. There is a website to go do your census. You can do it right now as you're listening to the Miller Boys and our discussion, but it has to be done.
And if you need some help, give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll help you with that. But the census is important. Remember, the census is about households. So they want to know, the census wants to know how many people are living at a particular address. And even if you got a grown son like I do, who kind of is the wanderer, everybody whose house he wanders to needs to account for him in their census. And then the census will sort that out. But everybody needs to be counted in the census. From the oldest person in the room or in the house, in the domicile to the baby. Everybody needs to be counted. So please make sure you go. As I said, it's an online component right now. You don't need anything except for to go to the website, punch in your address. If you have your code, it makes it a little bit easier. But if you don't have your code, they'll ask you a series of questions to get you into the system. It takes less than 5 minutes to do that. So please go and do your census. Make sure you get that done. Also, I'm going to get on this kick also. You need to make sure you're registered to vote. And please don't say, I've been registered to vote. I've been voting since I was 18 and I'm 68 now. Because the problem is that if they're still using your signature card from when you was 18, your signature has changed. If you've had a medical condition, a heart attack, a stroke, or something like that, your signature is going to change. So you need to go in there and re-register. That's important. Because remember, we're in California in November, we're going to be 100% vote by mail. So everybody's ballots are going to be mailed to them at home. You're going to need to sign that envelope and send it back. And then they use technology to match your signature that's on record with the signature that you're sending in. So if your registration is from 1974, I suggest you go back in there and re-register. I will have that website is it Chiron? What's the thing at the bottom? Anyway,
the scroll at the bottom.
The scrolling thing at the bottom. I will have the website on there next week to be able to help you go vote. But I believe the website is registertovote.ca.gov. Again, that's register-to-vote, all words, all letters, .ca.gov. That's the California State Government's website. So you should be able to go on there. You can do it at DMV. There's a couple of different options that you can use to be able to register to vote. But it's real important that even if you've been registered for a long period of time, to make sure you go in there and re-register, in particular so you put your signature on there so they can match that for you. Okay.
And go get your gun and register your gun and take classes so that you'll know how to use it so you won't shoot yourself in the foot.
Agreed. Okay.
Or the ankle.
If you're going to go get a firearm, please make sure you register and do it legally. Make sure you take the classes. Agreed. For those of us who don't have weapons, we do other things. So
what you do?
I think my way out of situation. I ain't never been shot at that I know of. And I ain't never shot at nobody. I do know that much, so I should be good. Anyway, so where you want to start, man?
I was contacted today or yesterday by a young man that I've known for several years, over 30, who has a program that he runs in Merced to help fathers. It's a countywide program. Shout out Lamar Henderson.
Okay.
And he contacted me, and there's a young man who wants to talk to me about promoting that type of stuff, fatherhood, in this area of Fresno. So I got to thinking, some general questions. I don't know what you're going to ask me later, but what does it mean? I guess we could do this is right on time. Father's Day is what, June something or
the third Sunday in June.
Okay, we got some time. Mm-hmm. So you got homework assignment.
That's cool that Lamar's doing that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a while. What does it mean to be a father? In just some general questions. I got like a couple. What does it mean to be a father? To
be a provider, when possible, to be an example. Those are the two biggest things. And what I mean by that is, I tell people this all the time. Sometimes the best parenting a person can do is to get out the way. I tell that people, in my work, 30 years of working in school education, I've run across parents of very, 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 so they're battling their psychological demons. They're battling the drug and alcohol addiction. The parents. So they're battling all these demons that they have, that they've brought on themselves. In some cases, it's, if it's psychologically, it's not brought on themselves. But they're battling all those demons while trying to be a parent to a kid. And in some cases, that it's more interference, in particular in the school realm, it's more interference than it is being proactive. And so people always get upset with folks about giving up kids for adoption, finding other loving homes for people to take care of their kids. But sometimes that is the best thing that a limited parent can give their child, is to get out of the way.
So when you say that, does that put the mindset of a single-parent household, a dual-parent household, an extended family where grandparents are in the house, or?
It means if you cannot provide, if you have physically produced a child, which is the formal definition of parenting, and you cannot provide for that child, you cannot be an example for that child, you need to get out the way, and you need to find. The best thing you can do is find some other avenues for that child to be able to be provided for and to have other good examples for that child to be able to follow. I just firmly believe that. I mean, I've dealt with people. I've been in parent conferences.
That's why you send your kid to school every day.
What do you mean?
Well, people, they send their kid to school for the babysitting aspect of it.
Some people do.
Of course, a lot of people do. I understand.
Mm-hmm. I've had parents keep the oldest. They have a bunch of kids, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids, and the oldest child, who may be 16, 17, 18, is then taking on the parenting roles and missing school, not being able to come because they got to take care of their younger siblings. In some cases, if it's a young lady, in some cases they actually even have children of their own that they're not taking care of.
So where do you think that aspect comes from, that they start having children of their own?
Examples are provided. They obviously have a parent, whether it be a single household or dual household, whatever, where children and producing children is the baseline of that relationship. I've had friends who had children early, in their teens, 20s. That relationship busted up, and then all of a sudden they get together in their late 30s and 40s, and to make it a real relationship, they believe they have to reproduce and have their own children, or their relationship is not, is not real. And I'm never, ever, I don't understand that.
One time through my journey of 22 years of serving the public here in the Central Valley, Fresno, California, I ran into a lady who had domestic violence situation. She was abandoned at a gas station. And she had 4 children when she met the guy. And because of the guy's misunderstanding of what it is to be a man, they had 5 children because he wanted to outdo the guy that was previously in the pocket. So,
say that again. So because he wanted to outdo her previous relationship,
correct.
He produced child number 5.
No, they had 5 children.
So she already had 4.
She had 4,
and then they had 5 more. So they had a total of 9.
Correct.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean,
okay. I understand the issues of people not being in their right frame of mind and mindset to raise and take care of children and things of that nature. But like I tell, not everybody needs to be a parent. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But every child should have their biological parents in their life,
if possible.
No, I don't care if possible or not, because like you said earlier, hopefully even the bad example will set an example for the child of what not to do.
That's more the exception than it is the rule. Most of the time when you have bad examples of parenting, those kids are picking up the bad examples.
Right. So
emulating those bad examples.
So if you have a young child who's for whatever reason, they are turned in for adoption. What's the biggest psychological issue that these children come with then? With an abandonment issue.
Separation and abandonment.
Right. And then they don't get the proper, they don't get the proper whatever, whomever, however's, and that manifests itself later on in relationships and in all aspects of life. So
it can, but then the other part about parenting is those adoptive parents, even though that's not their biological child, if they're taking, or even if it's not an adoptive, the adult who then is taking on the responsibilities of being the parent then assumes those roles. And so you're never ever going to be able to eradicate or erase those separation.
Let me tell you
questions.
Have you ever heard of the story about the chicken and the duck?
Probably not as you want to tell it, but
okay. So there was a farmhouse and there was ducks on one side of the farm and there were chickens on the other side of the farm, right? Mm-hmm. So the coyote came in and ate up all the chickens, right? Mm-hmm. So this little chick was looking for things that walked like him and acted mm-hmm. like him, so he went over with the ducks. So he was raised with these ducks, mm-hmm. and he believed, honestly, that he was a duck. Mm-hmm. What do you think turned his mind around to tell him that he wasn't a duck?
Seeing other examples of chickens.
There were no more chickens. When the mama duck took him over there to the lake and he jumped his behind in that water and drowned, he figured out that he wasn't a duck. So
I've heard that story a little bit different.
Just because you aspire to be something does not necessarily mean that it's going to turn out okay.
Agreed. But that was bad parenting by that mother duck, who only knew how to teach young how to be baby ducks. I understand that it was a situation where it wasn't by choice, but if you're going to take that on, you need to understand what it is to have a chick as being a mother duck and having a chick as a baby. That's the argument that I hear all the time when you start talking about.
You can't do that.
That's not true. Yes, you can.
People only know. People now, we're past the parenting. People can only teach what they know.
But people can always know more.
You can only pass on what you know.
Correct.
Agreed. And so the thing is.
So if you only, on a scale of 1 to 10, you only know 2, you can only teach 2. I agree with you. But there is no thing that stops you from going on learning 3, 4, and 5, and 6. That's what I mean about the responsibility. If you're going to take on the responsibility of parenting, and your parenting limitations on a 1 out of 10 scale is at a 2, and you're taking on these other responsibilities, it's your responsibility as a good parent to go learn 3 and go learn 4 and so forth and so on.
Well, she did go and learn when she took that chicken in the water and he drowned. She learned that you don't take chickens in the water.
Agreed.
Because they'll drown. Now she got 3. When the farmer come and get the chicken, that'll be 4. Run, baby chicken, run! Cause
I've heard that story different though. It's the eagle and the chicken.
Well, I ain't heard it.
So it's the same premise.
Okay,
it's the same premise, but
so that was
my story to Aaron.
Okay, you hear that, Aaron? You got one to tell me. But no, it was running into that over and over because there was also a picture that's circulating the internet with Charlize Theron raising. Yeah, she's got the 2 little, and she's South African, so she's technically African. With the 2 little chocolate babies, boys, raising them as girls. Is that psychological torture? Is that because she now she know? I can honestly say she knows better because of her socialization into society. So why is she taking these 2 little boys, and I don't care what color there is, just unfortunately they're black, and making them into girls?
Gotcha. Here's my only concern with using her as an example. That she comes out of the history of apartheid. So
this should be good.
No, I'm just saying she's got whether she is ascribed to that or not, she was brought up and raised in that post-apartheid society where there is truly a separation between the white Africans and the black Africans.
So are you telling me she's doing this out of spite to make a point to black Africans that I'm in control?
I don't know enough about it other than you sent me that post. I haven't done enough research on it, but whatever
So continue your thought that she came out. Trevor Noah also came out of that post-apartheid.
But he's seen as black African, although he's of mixed culture, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's seen as a black African. So when you're coming out of South Africa and you are mama's white and dad is white, I don't know if that's good or bad. I just know that part of. So you talked about what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she agrees with it or not agrees with it, that's what she knows is apartheid. Because that's the system, the structure that she's come out of.
So what does apartheid have to do with her adopting?
It's a mindset. Well, not with her adopting, but how she views. I don't know how she views black people, based on apartheid. Apartheid is just like you say, supremacy white or racism white supremacy. It's a mindset. And no matter whether you agree with it or not, if you're raised in that, that's how you're going to always respond to situations. And I think it's incumbent upon a person who is raised in that way to read, to learn, to have other examples. The only reason why I believe that I have the mindset that I have about the difference in cultures is because of my athletics. Because I was able, that and when my mom busted us at Tenaya for 2 years.
Worst thing to ever happen.
To go to Tenaya for 2 years?
In my case, yeah.
Okay, and I disagree. I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to me because of what I do now. Because before that, we were raised black on black, and that's one of the questions I got for you also. It's a little bit different. But black on black on black. Everything we did was West Fresno, black. All of a sudden I go to Tenaya with this mindset of inferiority and stuff. I get over there.
Who had a mindset of inferiority?
I did. There's no doubt in my mind that I had that mindset of inferiority.
Why would you have a mindset of inferiority?
Because that was the system that I came out of. That was the system that I grew up in. That's the way I interpret it.
Who told you that you were inferior?
I don't think anybody told me. It was my perception of the system in which I was living.
That blacks were inferior to whites?
Correct.
Okay.
That was my early tools. I don't think anybody did it on purpose.
Oh, it was on purpose, but I'm just okay. So I mean, that's your experience. So.
And it wasn't until I went to Tenaya and getting out of the athletics, doing well in school, doing better than a lot of my white counterparts in school, and the successes I had as a student is what helped me eliminate that inferiority complex. People get mad at me or say, not mad at me, but people question when I believe I can do anything. And I think it's based on that. Based on those 2 years experience and the things I've done athletically and the teammates I've had, the places I've been able to go. 13 years old, I'm able to go when we going on those soccer trips, all us black and brown kids from Roosevelt Edison soccer team go to Redwood City and they put us up in the Redwood City's soccer team in their houses. So here we're going, living with, saw a lady, the only time I've ever seen a lady cook eggs in a microwave. I didn't know that. Mom always told us you can't cook eggs in the microwave. I saw that lady cook our breakfast in the microwave, cook our egg breakfast in the microwave. So it's just it's not a matter of right or wrong.
Did that impress you?
Yeah, it did. At 12 or 13, I think I was 12 years old. Yeah. When my mother, who is a saint, who can tell me anything, and I'm going to believe it, when she tells me that I can't do something, you cannot cook scrambled egg in a microwave. It can't be done. But I was exposed to an example by the white family I was with in Redwood City that it can happen. Does that mean that my mom is wrong? No, it just means that my mom had never experienced that. In her lifetime, in the way and the things that she understood, it wasn't able to be done. And when I came back and told her how the lady did it,
we've just transferred thought patterns from the beginning of our conversation to this conversation.
It's all based on, you talked about all based on parenting.
But no, don't let my intellect throw you off here. Keep going.
No, I'm connecting it all back to your original question about parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Parenting is a state of mind. And if your state of mind, good parenting is about a state of mind. If you don't know how to comb your baby's hair and you put it in some old jacked up hairdo, that ain't cool. When you can go and look at YouTube now to look how to comb a baby's hair. And that's for men, that's for single dads, as well as Caucasian.
You as a parent might not want to go through the trouble of combing your child's hair and just keep it cut short.
Okay.
And explain to your child that this is the way it is.
That's being a purposeful parent. If that's what
you might then say, we're going to go the natural look and let your child's hair, we're talking about African Americans, and let your child's hair just be as wild as it wants.
That's purposeful parenting. But if your kid's hair is wild and crazy because you don't know what to do with it, that's not being parenting. That's not learning. That's being stuck at 2 and not looking to go to 3 or to 4. Because even if you let a hair grow wild and just let it take on itself, you still got to do things to it. You still got to wash it. You still got to oil it. You still got to do lots of different things.
But you don't know how to do that.
And the only reason nowadays, the only reason why you don't know how to do it is because you haven't sought it. I'm telling you, the YouTube.
Maybe you don't have you're low income. You don't have computers. Where I live, I don't have high speed internet.
Okay.
Maybe you can't have a cell phone. That's why Fresno Unified is sending all of this electronic equipment home with these kids so that they can attempt to keep up with their works.
Okay. So if you're a bad parent right now,
if you're a bad parent,
you're
a bad parent when you beat your child till he bleeds, and then you sexually abuse your child, or you mentally mentally inflict harm, pain on your child. Then you're a bad parent.
What's up, Ruben? Evitt, what's going on?
Then you're a bad parent.
Evitt,
if you're doing the best you can.
Your boy just said you was the smartest person in kindergarten.
He didn't know me in kindergarten.
Yeah, he did.
I never went to kindergarten.
So you got to you need to follow that up. Has he still got his kindergarten mindset now, or did he evolve?
Pumpity, 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 pumpity.
Anyway, okay, so staying on that same vein.
Remember getting in trouble for that?
About mindset.
Shout out, Mrs. Mayo.
When I say West Fresno, what does that mean to you? What is it? Who lives there? What does it smell like? What does it mean?
What does it mean to
memories?
Me? West Fresno means to me, as a child, going to grandma's house, running across the street to Frank H., swimming all day, eating fried bologna sandwiches with grandma, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the real butter on the bread. Toasted. That's what West Fresno meant to me. Now West Fresno to me means my children have graduated from Edison, one of them. Shout out Michael. Thank you for going 4 years through SOU and graduating 2020. Marcus now participating at Edison and doing the best he can. That's what it means to me now. Most of my career, 22 years of policing, was done on the west side of Fresno. So, I mean, I have different, through life stages, we all evolve. You can't, who moved my cheese, brother?
So what is the evolution? Describe your evolution, Gerald Miller's evolution in respects to the West, and to West Fresno.
I don't quite understand that.
You just said that there's been an evolution that happened. What is that evolution that you just mentioned? What has changed from the time we was at grandma's house? I remember the peanut butter and syrup sandwiches better than peanut butter and jelly and toasted bread. But anyway, from those times when we'd go to grandma's house after summer school, get something to eat, go to the Frank H. pool, swim all day long until mama got off work, 5:30. I mean, literally be in the pool 5 hours.
Right. She pull up, honk the horn.
We get out and go over there wet.
Shout out Santana.
Vince Santana. Right. So from that time in the 70s to where we are now in the 2020s, what has evolved? What does that evolution look like? How would you describe that evolution?
I don't think that there has been a real purposeful evolution on the west side of Fresno since the time that we were kids until now at 50 something years old. I remember going to the Ponderia, right there by Chris's Meat Market when we were little. We could jump out the pool, run over there, go to the same Kentucky Fried Chicken that was been there forever and ever. I remember, all of those things that are stuck still there. The Fulton Mall was open, Canada Shoes and Woolworths and all those places were on the Fulton Mall that were then closed. Chinatown was booming and popping. When the Hispanic gangs came in, it was unsafe, and heroin came in, it was unsafe to go into Chinatown, and so we couldn't run around in Chinatown and run up and down the Fulton Mall like we used to. Those things are the evolution. But, like I tell people, I had the best of both worlds. I grew up at Frank H. with my grandma, and then we would go home to Butler Park. So I would think just as much, on the east side as I did on the west side. One of my favorite rap lyrics is from Eric B. and Rakim, and it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. So the party don't move until I'm there. Same like, you could ask that question of me when I went to San Francisco and San Francisco State. Those were my images of life, living in Oakland, living in, Mike Marcelli, with him in Union City, and San Jose with Reggie Epperson and Keith and John. And, when you say evolution, I don't quite understand what you're asking me about West Fresno. It's a time warp. I remember going to Marcus Square and buying fireworks. I remember JC House of Records. My understanding of the West Side is rooted a lot deeper than people that come from the north end of town. But see, what we get stuck on here in Fresno is that the monolith that everybody is connected and attached back to the West Side. No, they threw a bomb in the West Side, blew all the black folks out of the West Side. So that's not where most of the African Americans live now in Fresno. They live all over the diaspora of Fresno. So when I came back and started looking around and asking those types of questions, people looked at me like I was an alien because they could not grasp that concept in which why are we always touching back to the West Side? Why are we always going back to this place where you are is where you are, and where you lay your hat is where you have to take your shoes off and get down and boogie right there where you are. So I don't understand that.
You answered the question. For you not to have understanding, you answered the question very well.
Oh, I still don't know how I answered the question.
You did.
So let me ask you. Elaborate on what you're asking.
I'll get to the point as to why I asked that question. But your definition and description of evolution is exactly mine. When we were kids, West Fresno in the 70s and the early 80s, West Fresno was a community. It was a self-sustainable community that had everything in it that was necessary. Louis Key Market, you had Boys Market, you had, what's the one down there on Elm and was it Everybody's Market? So you had these stores that people could go to. Johans. They weren't necessarily the most appealing places, the smells and all that kind of stuff, but it was a place where people in those residents in those particular areas had a place to go and they could walk to. Now in West Fresno, you basically got one grocery store, big box chain. Service in there is horrendous. You go in there any time of the day. They got self checkout and maybe 2 or 3 people. It could be 12, 13 people deep in their lines. That ain't about community. There was pharmacies you can go to. There was doctor's offices down on Fresno Street. As you said, the pools were open. The schools during that time.
More for my edification, it's not how it used to be or why it is or how it is now. It's why or how did it get to be that way. Those are the mechanisms that need to be changed for there to be a community comeback, for a community to thrive.
Darren Miller's opinion, you said they threw a bomb in there. Okay. I don't see it necessarily as whoever the they is, throwing a bomb in the West Fresno. I see it more that they put their hands around the neck of West Fresno and choked them out. They stopped.
Okay, so what we're saying is the same thing. There was a negative mechanism that was introduced onto the population of that area, which is called the Golden West Side, that pushed, urged, or manipulated people out of their places.
Opening of Manchester Center, which was the first negative impact to the Fulton Mall.
It's called white flight.
Right. Well, it's just flight, period, because we had a lot of black folks that left also. But one of the biggest factors, I believe.
So white folks moved from the West Side and right above, that lived in that Belmont corridor. They left and they moved up a little bit further to Shaw. And then when African Americans and Hispanic people started making a little money and moved into their neighborhood, they fled white a little bit further. Then they ended up north of Shaw.
Same thing going the other way too. Before we got to Butler Park, it was all white folks at Butler Park. And then when black folks started moving to the east,
that's called white flight to the suburbs.
Okay, so what do you say with those folks that moved out there on Bunker Hill? That skipped over all that geography that you're talking about and went out there past Herndon, out there where
wasn't no white folks out there when they moved out there?
There was a few, but there were black folks that went way out there too. What about the black folks that went the other direction, went out to Kearney?
Wasn't no white folks out there?
On the Kearney part, I don't know about Kearney.
Well, Kearney is considered the West Side, so that's not even a.
But there was a huge void. There was a huge separation.
Still the West Side. Would you rather be dumped off butt naked, lathered up in ice cream and caramel in Bunker Hill, or on Kearney?
It don't make me no difference.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same. And that's just me. It's the same to me. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is one of the biggest factors, I believe, you call it a bomb, I call it a strangulation, was when they shut down.
I call it negative activity.
When they shut down Irwin.
Of course, yes. But who shut down Irwin?
It was officially Fresno Unified.
And who was running Fresno Unified? African Americans?
I don't know who the superintendent was. It wasn't a black superintendent. They only had one black superintendent. I don't know where Dr. Lee was in the.
You think Dr. Lee shut down Irwin?
No, Fresno Unified and the board of trustees at that time. I think that was before Mrs. Curry. Because that would have been in 77, 78. Rutherford Gaston. I think Mr. Gaston was the only one that was in the district office at that time. Maybe Joe might have been in there too.
Okay, we're running out of time.
But I'm just saying, I believe that when they took out Irwin and forced kids in 3 generations basically of kids to not be able to stay in their neighborhood to go to grades K through 12 was one of the biggest separations, one of the biggest bombs that was put in to West Fresno.
I agree.
And so now, how do you undo that? That was 33 years.
How do you undo that?
Yeah, I mean that, and
you in your own words now you have to teach to the unteachable 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're in a homogenized society now. Hey, what do you mean community of black folks? Laughable.
Well, the newest community of black folks is 93722. That's where I shouldn't say that, but that's where the highest number of African American registered voters is in 9322, 93722, which I just found out in the mayor's race, Jans versus Dyer, was about 50-50. As many people voted for Dyer in that 93722 corridor, as many people voted for Dyer as they did for Jans. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I haven't had a conversation.
Well, there's only 8% African Americans in the city of Fresno, right?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the official number is.
There's not enough to, unless they were to come together and all sit down and come to some kind of conclusion that we're going to vote this way or that way, and that's what I would advocate. But it's not. That's not.
It's something. There's 2 different ways you can look at it, and I would love to be able to do an analysis. I don't know if I'm able to do it, but to have some conversations with some folks that live over there, honest conversations with who they voted for and why, or did they vote? That's the other thing I got to take a look at is what the numbers say about whether or not what's the percentage of the people that voted in that particular in those particular precincts along there. I don't know, but I just got a friend of mine that sent me the map, and it was just kind of curious. The other part so Chestnut, where mom and daddy is.
So where are we going with this though?
I'm just the mindset. I'm always talking about mind.
What's the mindset?
Well, going back to
Have you ever seen I put this on somebody's page today. Have you ever seen iRobot?
I did, yeah.
What were the 3 laws?
Some about, I don't know. Kill a man.
No. You can't. Yeah, you can't deal with.
I don't remember the 3 laws. But I do know that Law 3 countered Law 1.
Countered or
supported or whatever.
Supported.
So you could. It was a loop.
Right, and so you could not. You couldn't harm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're back to my schizophrenic.
Preserve life. Preserve life was one of them, wasn't it?
Well, you couldn't harm a human being. So my point is, before we go all into this, is that's how African Americans in the United States have been programmed. Everybody wants to talk to me about why do I call African Americans schizophrenic, and why do I say that African Americans are brainwashed? It's because of that. If you look at that movie and make the African Americans robots, that's the whole thing. When a robot gets out of line, they get decommissioned. Mm-hmm. You send the police to go kill these African Americans that think that they, are on the same level that the opposing person is. Mm-hmm. Right? That's how the game is played. That's all in the system of racism, white supremacy. So that when you believe that you are adequate or equal to someone else, they destroy you.
Correct.
So what you're asking is, why did African Americans who have only been taught, who out of the last 3 generations that have been, their minds have been melted with lack of parenting, lack a drug influence from the 80s, heavy drug and crack influence into the neighborhood, heavy violence, early childhood trauma, and then you want these people to come out walking, talking automatons to want to form a society and a nation and a neighborhood? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's too much trauma. There's too many layers on that onion that need to be peeled back and healed in the African American diaspora, for lack of a better word, community, before we can even stand on our 2 feet to stand proud with our chest out and go up against what we believe that, like you said earlier, the image that was taught to you and you don't know where it came from, was that when you went to the other side of town, you were inferior.
Mm-hmm. But that's TV. That's conversation.
That's socialization right. In the world, which is racism, white supremacy.
Correct. So if you're going to use me as an example, I'm a living example.
No, you use yourself as an example.
If I'm the example, I'm a living example of how you overcome all that stuff. I couldn't be no more comfortable and pleased with where I am and all the negativity and all the scars, teenage dad, being accused of child endangerment after 30 years in the business, being demoted, unceremoniously demoted, all those types of negative things, being chased at school the first 4 days out there tonight, all of those things that have happened to me, for me to be in the position I am, I think I'm a great example of how my misunderstanding of Malcolm X and where I picked that up from and different people. I remember when Annetta went to Howard, who graduated from Clovis High School, took off, went to Howard and came back, and the dashikis, all that kind of, now she all pro-black after leaving out of Clovis High. And I used to tease her about that all the time. So there is a lot of examples of people when they move and seek knowledge beyond 2, when they get to 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them, there's this awakening. And the same thing has to happen with those racist white supremacists. They're stuck at 2. They are stuck at 2. They are afraid of the unknown, of getting to 3 and 4 and learning that African Americans and Hmongs and people...
They're not afraid. What do they have to... They're in control. when you
They're
have,
afraid of losing control.
when you have, I don't ever, when was the last time you had an animal in your house?
Ooh. Like a pet?
Yeah.
Ooh, long time.
Okay.
I think the last pet I had was Mama's house. I don't think I've ever had a dog or a cat. I know I ain't had no cats. I don't think I ever had a dog on my own.
Okay. So let me ask you this.
Because I don't have, that goes back to parenting. I know I can't take, I'm so busy and I'm away so much, I can't take care of an animal. So I've never had a pet.
Okay. So here's my question to you, and this is we can't use that. So when you go out to your car and you get in your car, are you afraid that your car is going to attack you?
Mm-mm.
Why?
I've never been attacked by my car.
Okay. When you get on the freeway and you drive your car down and you're going to work or wherever, are you afraid that something is going to happen to you?
Afraid? No, cautious. People driving.
Okay.
Know.
Well, that is the air of, let me think of a term, that white people have navigating through African American folks.
Correct.
They ain't scared of you. What they afraid of you for?
Oh, I disagree wholeheartedly. They disagree because they, as you say, society has brainwashed us.
I'm going to let you in on a little something, Dr. Darren Miller. When you get to the same level that they are on, as you say, you've navigated through this and that and all of these negative things that have come through, and you've made it to where you should be able to write your own ticket. What has happened? Now they're afraid of you.
They've been afraid of me. People in education, the system and structure has been afraid of me. I got 5 college degrees. Now this is not, let me say this, I'm not bragging or boasting. This is a fact. I have 5 college degrees. I've had 30 years of service in the K-12 education stream. And I will be officially unemployed July 1 of 2020.
And why do you think that is?
That's not where I'm going.
That's where I'm going.
But here's the example. In the county in which I live, there are 36 or 34 superintendents who are people who are running school systems. And there are only, I believe, 4 or 5 people that have the same level of educational accomplishment in the field of education that I do. There are over 30 other people who do not. So why am I not in that same realm? Why am I not in that same position? Madera Unified wouldn't even hire me back as a principal. So I understand that. And like I told you before, I have never been more comfortable with where Darren Miller is in my life than now. I'll be jobless in July 1 and couldn't care less about it. Going to be doing things that I want to do. I'm going to be doing some writing. Hopefully I'll be able to get picked up as an adjunct professor, working with community college and university students, doing something different, doing something new. I'm not going to allow other people with their races, their minds that have been influenced, whether it be white, black, or brown, being influenced by your racism, white supremacy. Because racism, white supremacy is as negative and as influential on white people as it is everyone else. Okay?
Explain.
For you to believe in 2020 that because of the color of your skin, you are superior to somebody else, you've been brainwashed as much as a black person who believes that you're inferior to that.
Yeah, but you're winning.
It's not a matter of wins and losses.
For you, it's not a matter of wins
maybe
and
that's
losses.
why I'm comfortable.
But for Donald Trump and his followers, it's a matter of wins and losses. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because the best person would win. The doctor with the degrees would have a job. He would be running a school. He would be doing these types of things. So it is about winning and losing. That's why it is called a race.
Every time
I, as a white person, as y'all can see, don't want you to outdo my children. So I have to move you out of the way so that my children that run the race with me can move into those positions and succeed.
There are people who, quote unquote, get a society win and ultimately lose. There are people who get society losses who ultimately win. Because wins and losses, so I can't paint that picture fast enough in education. There's a deal, kids running track, and about the difference. So you're running a 100-yard dash race. The white kid starts at the 70 mark. The Hispanic kid, Asian kid starts at the 90% mark. And the African American kid starts at the real start line.
He's still in the car.
Or in the car. But in his lane, not only is he starting behind everybody, he got hurdles.
Right. I've used that example.
All that kind of stuff
on the show. Right.
And so, even though the white kid in this scenario that I just painted wins, that's a false win. You only ran 70 yards. I just ran 100 yards through obstacles. And yeah, I lost that race, but because of the what I've picked up by going through those obstacles, understanding how to navigate through the system that is not set up for me to be successful, through those experiences, I won. I'd be able to go into the next situation more informed, more knowledgeable. I've moved from that 2 now to a 3, looking forward to moving to a 4. So that's what I mean about when you base everything off of wins and losses.
Yeah, but it's sad that when you have finally navigated over the bushes and through the crocodiles and across the pond and everything, and this young white person who started the same as you did finished his race at 55 and is retired now and has a boat and has everything and he has wealth to give to his kids. You're now 85 years old and you just finished. Your life is over because you've had to go through all of those obstacles and jump those hoops and all of those different things.
The most, in my learning, the most successful people on earth are indigenous. The people we could not even fathom. If we went to where they're from, we would think they are abject poverty. Because that's the experiences that we have being in cities and all that type of stuff, having clothes and all kinds of stuff. We would see these indigenous people as being abject poverty, the poorest people ever. Where in their minds, they are the richest people that they ever had. They have everything they need. They have clothing, they can make their own food, they can, join with each other, they can, make kids to be able to keep. In their mindset, they are the richest people that they know. So when you say wins and losses, it's all about perspective and where you are. So that's what I mean. So every year,
but we don't live in that village.
I got you, but what I'm saying
is we
live
in the village where you have all of these hurdles, where you can get your doctorate degree and find yourself unemployed. That's crazy to me.
And dude, I'm telling you, my blood pressure is down. I'm not having headaches no more. I'm walking every day. I'm able to ride my bicycle. I got money in the bank. Now, I told you I'm getting ready to be jobless. I got money in the bank. I got a place to live. My truck is getting ready to die because it's 15 years old. But I have the ability to buy another car if I want to. If I want to go on vacation and coronavirus, I can do that. Dude, I have never been more comfortable in my skin ever than now. Let me ask you this question. Using your wins and losses analogies and equating it to sports in our society. By what you're saying is that the number 1 seed should always win the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or the World Series or the Stanley Cup or the World Cup, whoever the number 1 seed is, because they are the best and they've got the most wins in a particular season, then they automatically should be the champions. And you and I both know that there are people who get hot at the end of a season, who limp into the playoffs and get hot and then ultimately win and become champions.
How many owners are in the league that you're talking about?
What do you mean? How many black owners?
No, owners, period.
I don't know. Whatever, how many teams there is. So 32 in football, 30 in baseball. I don't know.
Those are the winners. The players that are on the courts, that are doing the monkey business, or the running around, or the occupying the time of the other people, those are the underlings. They convince you and I to spend our hard-earned money to go see these people at a high ticket value, and that money goes to the owners. Those are the winners.
So the players are not winners? And these exorbitant contracts that they're getting?
Oh, no. NBA, the $650,000 average that you were telling me about, right? Not absorbative contracts.
$650,000 not exorbitant to you?
Yes, it is exorbitant to me, and that's why I say, who cares what happens to them? I don't live my life according to what they do.
You lost me.
Of course,
we
always.
We were talking about winners and losers.
Winners and losers.
Winners and losers.
And I say that the winners
are the owners.
Everybody else is a loser. Everybody else is a loser.
So you're basing it off of finances.
I'm basing it off of, in that situation, yeah, because it's all about finances.
And you're saying that the players are not winners?
I would.
So if we go play a poker game.
I don't play poker.
I got you. But if we go play poker.
I don't know how to play poker.
And I got you. And there's 1,000 people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's playing poker. And it gets down to the last 20 people. And you pay $1,000 to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But pay starts at the 20th person and you get $3,000. Are you a winner or loser?
I don't know, because I'm gonna be the guy in the corner selling water and chips to all y'all and toilet paper.
That's called deflection. You know that, right?
Deflection.
Yeah, I asked you a question,
and I answered your question.
That's a winner
because you don't get.
You just won $3,000.
I didn't even hear what you were saying, because that's not where my mind goes to. If I don't know how to play poker, then I don't know how to play poker.
So what do you know how to play? So what do you know how to play?
The game of life.
Okay, so in the game of life, game of life. There's 1,000 players.
The game of life. I'm not.
Game of life. Okay. There's 1,000 players. We all put $1,000 in to get in the game. Of those 1,000 people, only 20 people are going to get paid.
Okay.
When it gets down to 20.
Okay.
And that 20th person is going to get $4,000. Is he a winner? Is that person a winner or loser?
Now this is deflection. I'm not good at math, so say that again.
You put in 1,000. You come out with 4,000. Did you win or lose?
You won.
Right, you won $3,000.
Okay.
But there's 80 other people who didn't win.
Okay.
So when you talk about winners and losers, just because you're the number one person, that doesn't define you as a winner. There can be other winners in the game. They may not win as much as you. They may not be as successful as you, but it doesn't mean that they didn't win or that they weren't successful. So that's all I'm saying. You can't define success and winning and losing based off of whoever number one is, because there's other people who wins along the road.
So then, because I don't know how to play poker and do that, I'm gonna take my $1,000 and go buy some bean seeds and go out there and plant some crops.
So you're gonna be a winner, because you're gonna have beans. You're gonna have beans, stocks, and beans to eat. I'm not gonna have none, because you invested your $1,000 wisely. Where I'm gonna go get wild turkey and Crown Royal and some women off the street, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna live in the pleasure of now. For the next 6 months or so, you're a winner. My $1,000 made me feel good.
But was it not? Did you say it wasn't about winners or losers?
No, it's not. But I'm just giving you another example. It's about what you do. If there's three of us in this equation, you invest your $1,000 in beans and you go put your bean stocks and that kind of stuff. I take my $1,000 and I go hoe it off, and the dude in the middle takes $500 and goes plants $500 worth of beans, gets $500 of hoeing off. There's two winners because you guys can sustain yourselves at different levels. There's one loser.
Why?
Because I'm not. What am I going to do?
I'm a loser. You know why? Because you're my brother, and you're gonna come over to my house and trying to.
Anyway,
and I'm gonna have to make a way for you to dig a hole and let you sleep in the hole in the back. And,
okay.
And come on, man, really?
Ruben. Anyway, we'll get back to you guys next week as our conversations were a little bit lighter today. I tried to stay away from facts this week. I didn't do no homework.
Donald Trump is still an idiot.
And there was I was going to ask you greatest of all time, but I'll wait for that.
Greatest of all time about what?
Everything. I'm going to give you all kind of categories, music, all that kind of stuff, just to see where your thoughts are. But anyway,
I'm the greatest of all time.
I got you. And
because I'm trying to win. I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to stay as in your eyes of your religion, Christ-like, be humble, do my thing. Bob and weave, raise my children to be the best citizens they could be.
Is that your parting shots or you got some more parting shots? We got to get out of here. It's been an hour. KP got to go home.
I understand.
That's your parting shot?
No.
Okay. You want me to go first? You.
Love, peace, and hair grease.
You funny. Anyway, so it's been an hour again with us. We love you, love you, love you. We love each other dearly as well.
Oh, yeah. This is.
But remember,
I have to go to
go get your census done.
9 questions.
Census2020.gov. Go get your census done. Also, make sure you re-register to vote. Not just register to vote, but re-register to vote to make sure that you have an accurate signature on file
and address.
With the county. And what about the address? But the signature is what they're kicking ballots out on. And so make sure you go back in there and re-register so that they get an appropriate signature for you on file. And again, God willing, we'll be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m.
I'll be back.
Also, just as a kind of a preview, we may be moving up an hour to 7 o'clock. But we'll get you guys, make sure we give you guys enough forewarning before we do.
Make sure you share. You can rewatch the programs to see how cute and beautiful I am. Still look the same that I did when I was in kindergarten. Yeah. Once again, shout out Evitt, Miss Mel.
Charles Francis. Evitt did say you was the smartest Vita kid. Bass, smartest kid in kindergarten. Kindergarten was 500 years ago. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Love you.
Love you. Peace.